everybody, it's Tamika. I am here with the tutorial of how I created this mini album. It's not this, we're going to use a different paper, and it actually is from the video when I was selling the kits for these. I do have one Prima Love clipping kit. I will put the 2 kits that I have available in the description box if you guys are looking to purchase that. So I had to make a mini album, if you guys remember the story, really quick. I had like an hour and a half that I had timed myself, whatever I can make in that time, and it was a little over an hour that I made the mini album. So of course I didn't plan out anything, but now I have it all written down, and I am going to attempt to create this mini album again within the hour, so we shall see. But this is what that one looks like. The only thing that is different in it is I won't be doing this part here. I think I'm just going to stick the inserts in there because that took some time to do, and maybe not as elaborate as decorations. You can just, you know, add flowers or what have you, but fussy cutting all this out, you know, all takes time. So we will definitely construct the mini album. We'll have a cover, and we'll have some page inserts. So we'll definitely put something together that is worthy of giving to someone else. So also, if you guys are interested, all the mini albums that I have created will be in my Etsy shop. I have made too many. I like making them, but it ain't that many pictures in the world. So if you are interested in this mini album I also created another mini. This is that style. Really cute. I love that cover. Cute little charm. That's the summer. This is the, what is this? Pastel. This is the summer mini album. I have the ocean mini album, of which I did a 3-part tutorial for as a guest design team member of Country Craft Creations. And then I will be selling whatever we make today. So all of these will be linked below. So I'm going to do a voiceover, and so let's go ahead and get started with the album. Wish me luck. Fingers crossed. The key to making a mini album faster is the planning part. So once you get that done, which I have done for you, it's easy. All you have to do is put together. So I am actually going to challenge myself to do the whole thing from start to finish, cutting all of it, and do that in an hour. But if you want to go ahead and pre-cut your items, and then you can go a little bit faster. So we shall see how this works out. So you'll need to get your items out. And down here, I know you cannot probably read my handwriting, but I'll read it to you. You will need the following: chipboard, cardstock, pattern paper, a scoreboard, scissors, tape, trimmer, bone folder, cropodile, eyelet and charm, if that's what you want to use, flowers, sentiment, paintbrush if you're going to do splatters, of course a little bit of water, some pearls, and then a circle punch, which is optional, and hot glue sticks. So that's what we'll need, and then I will start the process. You guys will be watching me. I will speed it up, otherwise the video will be an hour plus time. But I will do a voiceover to show you what exactly I'm doing with the dimensions while I'm doing it. So hopefully that helps, and so you know that I'm not cheating. This timer will be going the whole time. So even though it'll say 30-minute video, you'll see the real time lapse on the phone. I think that's it. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Alright guys, I have started the little clock, and let me tell you, the pressure is on. So you're going to need chipboard. The best way to cut it out is just to do everything all at once. You're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard cut at 5 by 7, and that's the cover for the front and back. Then you're going to need the spine piece, which is cut at 2 by 7. You just need one of those. The next thing I'm moving on to with chipboard is cutting the photo bases for the photo mats, and you'll need 5 of those, and those are going to be cut out at 3.5 by 5. So the chipboard that I'm using is lightweight, like cereal weight chipboard. People at my job collect these for me at the end of their paper packs and stuff like that. They just have them. So I have a lot of these on hand, but you can substitute them for any chipboard. I'll put a link in the description box for the Amazon chipboard that I use as well. The next thing we're going to move on to is our pattern paper, and I'm using a 6x6 paper pad called Petals and Blooms from the Paper Studio at Hobby Lobby. You'll need 5 of these. These are going to go on top of the chipboard pieces that you just cut, and they are cut at the same at 3.5 by 5, and you'll need 5 of those. You can also omit this part if you just want to flip your chipboard on top of the pattern paper and then cut around it. That takes more time to me, and I just like to cut them ahead of time. So I'm just picking out colorful patterns because I know they're going to sit on top and I want them to show. So I have my 5 pieces cut out, and I am going to set those aside. And now it's time to cut the flap bottoms, and that's going to go on the back side of the pages. Those are cut at 4 1/4 by 6, and you'll need 5 of those. So I'm just going through the paper pad, trying to pick out different colors or different patterns so that every time you flip a page it's a mix and match type style. But you know, they all are very plural. So so now that that's cut, now we'll need to cut the inside, no, the flat tops. I'm sorry, we're going to cut the flap tops. Those are 4 1/4 by 3 3/4, and that's going to go on top of the flap that we just cut. So cut out 5 of those, and I kind of wanted those to be neutral, the black and whites without any colors, because I wanted, it's going to go against all those floral papers that we just cut out. So I wanted those to be in a neutral, you know, black and white tone. All right. The next thing we're going to cut now are the inside, front, and back covers. And since I'm using the 6x6 pad, all I have to do is cut them down to 5. So you're going to cut 2 of those at 6x5, and I just made them match. Now we're going to cut the pages that go on the front of the book, the front pages, and that's when you, so you have the front pages, and you flip it over and you have the back flaps. So these are the front pages, and you'll need 5 of those, and you're going to cut those at 4 3/8, which is like a teeny tiny notch before 4 1/2. So 4 3/8 by 6, and you'll need 5 of those. And then I realized, so you'll see me cutting more paper, that black striped paper is not part of the Petals and Blooms collection. It's a little more washed gray, and I didn't like how it looked. So I was trying to find another piece of paper to replace that. So that's why you see me cut that many. So there's my 5 cut at 4 3/8 by 6. And then the last thing that I'm going to cut in pattern paper is the spine piece. And I was really hoping to use that polka dot, but it's not wide enough. So I'm just going to cut this down to 2 by 6, and that goes on the spine. And I found that I like the stripe better, so I used that one instead. Alright, now that we have all of our pattern paper pieces cut out, it's time to move to the cardstock. And we're going to cut the inside covers. This is the base. After you put the chipboard together, we're going to cut the covers. And you're going to cut one at 7 by 11 and one at 7 by 5. And then we're going to set aside 2 whole 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper to cover the front of the book. And now we're cutting out the flanges, and the flanges are cut at 7 by 3 7/8, 7 by 3 1/8, and 7 by 2 3/8. And now we're cutting out the base pages, which are 10 by 7, and you'll need 5 of those. We're going to come back and score and put tape and stuff on all this. I just wanted to get the cutting out the way. And if you want to make it easier for you, put a little post-it note on, you know, the header of what all these items are, so you don't get them confused. But I'll try to go over the measurements when we get to the parts. The next thing we're going to cut are the page inserts. Those just a little hold the photo, and they are cut at 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So you can go ahead and make 5 of those, and you can put a full 4 by 6 photo on the front and back of those. Now keep in mind, I'm using a flat back pearl to kind of use as a pull tab. You can completely omit that if you use a circle punch to pull that out. Otherwise, you have to shorten your photo a little bit in the front to make room for that flat back pearl. Alright, I am cutting the page flaps now, and they are 4 3/8 by 10 1/2, and you'll need 5 of those as well. And later, like I said, we'll go back and score that. Just going through and making sure I have 5 of each of everything before I put my trimmer away, cleaning up my little mess. And now it's time to get the scoreboard out. We're going to start with making our pages, and you should have 5 of those, and it's the 10 by 7. And on the 10-inch side, we're going to score a 1/2 inch on both sides, and then 5 inches, and then we're going to flip it and score at 6.5. So I'll go over that again, and you'll see me do it different ways, but it's all the same. So 1/2 inch on the left, and then 5 inches, flip it, 1/2 inch, and then a long way, 6.5. So on the 10-inch side, you're going to do 1/2 inch on both sides, and you're going to score 5 in the middle. Flip it 90 degrees on the 7-inch side and score it at 6.5. Alright, now that I've done with those, we're going to work on the flaps really quick. And the flaps are the ones that are 4 3/8 by 10.5. And on the 10.5 inch side, you're just going to score it at 6.5. So you want to do all 5 of those. Now that those are done, it's time to work on our flanges, and those are the 3 pieces. You want to score 1 inch on both sides of all of those pieces, and they were cut at 7 by 3 7/8, 7 by 3 1/8, and 7 by 2 3/8. So 1/2 inch, I'm sorry, not 1/2 inch, 1 inch on each side. You want to go ahead and take your bone folder and give those a nice crease, and then I am going to cut off the corners a little bit so that the pages will fold over them nicely. Just a quick little angle. I'm going to angle them off with my scissors, and I'm going to do that to all of them. You'll notice that I skipped the other side of that one. Later I realized it, and then I cut it. So yeah. Now that those are all angled and scored, I want to add some double-sided tape to the back of all of the flanges so that we can stack them together, and these will attach to our book, and they will hold our pages. So I'm using the 1/2 inch tape, and then I'm just doing it twice to fill in all the spaces. This large one we're going to cut off because you could make this mini album 6 pages, but I always do 5, and I'm going to cut off the excess flap that we don't need. So we're going to stack starting with the smallest going into the medium size, and then take the tape off, and then stack that one into the largest size. Make sure to line it up and center it the best way you can, and it all adheres. And this is where I cut off the excess flap right there so that we're left with the 5 page flaps. And I just throw all of that in the trash. So now we're going to go ahead and work on our page flaps, and remember those were the 4 3/8 by 10.5, and we scored them at 6.5. Taking my bone folder and giving them a good crease, and then I'm going to grab my corner chomper and give those a nice decorative edge. The next thing we're going to grab is our pages, and the pages were 10 by 7, and then we scored those on the 1/2 inch on both sides, if you guys remember. So what I'm doing is cutting off the bottom right flap, and then I'm going to angle it, and then skip the next piece so that stays intact, and then angle it at the top. And I'll do it again and show you. So I'm creasing it over. Cut that all the way up to the score mark and angle it, and then skip that next one and cut off that angle at the corner there. So you want to do that to all of the pieces so you guys can see what I'm doing. We don't need that bottom flap. Really easy, guys. And then the last one here. So now it's time to work on attaching those 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock that we set aside And all I'm doing is adding double-sided tape, and then I'm going to attach the two pieces together in order to be able to fit the covers for the 5x7. So really easy. I've done this several times on my channel for other tutorials. Works out really great. So I'm just moving stuff around because I'm working in a small space. So take the 5x7, or take all the chipboard covers, but I'm grabbing the 5x7s and I'm adding double-sided tape because I want to make sure that it stays attached to the cover without that wicked noise. And I'm going to do that for both of them, and also the spine. Went over it with my bowl folder just to make sure that the tape gets as adhered as it can. And I'm just checking the bottom sheet to see where it connects so that I can have my spine centered right on that connecting line, because I don't want it to be in the front or back cover. So these are going to be about 1/8 of an inch apart. You can use, you know, a ruler or what have you. I just eyeball it. Spine goes in the middle. 5x7 chipboard pieces go on either side of that. So all I'm doing is folding over the edge so that I can get ready to cut it down, and then add my score tape to adhere the cover, giving it a good crease. And then I'm going to cut off the excess. I'm leaving about 1 inch overage on both sides so I can have enough to fold over. And then I am going to go ahead and miter those corners, and that's just basically cutting it where a little bit above where they intersect in score lines. I've done this a lot of times on my channel too. Next thing I'm going to do is add my double-sided tape. You won't be able to see it because it's at the bottom, but all I'm doing is adding tape to those flaps that are hanging over past the chipboard so that I can close it up, you know, adhere it to the book. I noticed there's an extra space at the bottom, so I'm going to get my 1/4 inch tape and fill in that little gap down there that the 1/2 inch missed. Because it's not big enough for 2 1/2 inches, but it's big enough for the 2. So that's all I was doing down there. Go over that with my bone folder, and then I'm going to cut where the spaces are. Just a tiny little triangle so that when I fold it over, it doesn't have that bulk underneath it. So just go right up to the score mark, not past it. Cut out a little triangle where they meet, and you're good to go. So just removing my double-sided tape. And I'm going to attach that cardstock to that chipboard. Easy peasy. Corners lined up perfectly. Going over with my bone folder a little bit just to give it a little better crease. Then I'm going to lightly fold it over and make sure that it does what I need it to do, and it works well. So now we're going to grab those two pieces that I cut, those inside covers, 7x11 and 7x5, and I'm going to add some double-sided tape to the back of all of those, or both of those pieces. I want to make sure it's taped down real good, obviously, because I use a ton of tape. But yeah, I don't want it to come apart, I'm guessing. So I'm just adding tape to all of that, and then the little piece. That little piece is there because the 8.5x11 isn't long enough to stretch the full length of the mini album, so I'm adding that little piece to cover up where the last one left off. And it's not going to be obvious because it fits right. When you fold it up, you won't be able to see it. You'll see it in a second. So I'm just taking that piece off. I'm starting with the longer one, the one that's 7x11, taking off all the tape, and that it is going to fit perfectly on the book, so there's no space, no gaps, anything. It just lines up perfectly. So make sure you take your time and do that. And then we're going to take the 5x7 piece and layer that starting with the right edge so that it matches up perfectly, and it stops right at that score mark where you see you can't even see that there's a stop. Little trick. So now it's time to attach those flanges. This is coming along nicely. We're at about 32 minutes, and the construction of the book is complete. So add those flanges to the center of that spine, center it up the best way you can, and set that aside. Now it's time to work on those pages again. The page bases, they were the 10 by 7 that we just cut down that edge. I'm going to use this art glitter glue that I got from Country Craft Creations, and I'm going to fold over that little piece at the bottom. So if you notice, there's an extra little score mark that we didn't cut, and that is to provide extra stability when we're attaching it to the pages, so it'll be nice and durable. Instead of just one layer, it's 2 layers with glue in between. So keeps the pages on there and it keeps it sturdy. So if we just want to fold that up and glue it down, use wet glue or ATG tape or what have you. Just make sure that it stays glued down. Fold that over, crease it with your bone folder if you need to. So that's that little flap. Later we'll add glue to the outside of that, but for now we're just closing that flap up. So we want to fold over the 2 flaps that are left, give it a good crease, and then we're going to add the double-sided tape to those flaps. And I'm using the 1/4 inch tape. Even though it's a 1/2 inch, it overhangs, and I don't like it to overhang. So add the tape to the edge, the bottom edge of both of those pieces, because we need it to leave as much space open so that the insert can slide out nice and smoothly. So that gives us a little pocket, so to speak. So add the double-sided tape, flip it over on both sides, add the double-sided tape closest to the bottom, and go over it with your bone folder once you get done, which I will do at the end. I just see that clock over there ticking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta hurry up. Boy, the pressure. So that's the last little thing. So now I'm going to grab my bone folder so that it's easier to when you're getting ready to attach the pages, if they've already been scored, folded over and given the bone run through, then it's easier to fold them over. They don't buckle or anything. So we want to add 1 piece of tape so that when we glue the flap closed, we're adding a piece of tape on top of that flap, and that's going to attach to the flange. All you have to do is take the tape off, pull the flange down, and then take the tape off those 2 sides. They fold over, and you crease it just like that, and go back over it with the bone folder. Now for the 2nd through the 5th one, you want to make sure you line this page up with the previous page so that everything is in alignment. So line it up with the previous page, lay the flange down, take off the tape, and fold it over. Easy peasy. I did make a mistake on this, and I attached 2 flanges together, and later you'll find I have to take it apart because I'm like, wait a minute, I only did 4, and I know I have 5 pages, but it was attached because one of the flanges got caught in there. So yeah, really easy. Tape at the bottom, pull the tape off, easy peasy. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh shoot, I attached 2 flanges. that's what I literally said. So I have to peel that up, and then it was easy to come off because it hadn't really acclimated itself. So all I'm doing is adding some more double-sided tape to this pocket page. Make sure that it gets on there real good, and then redo it only with the only flange this time. Just 1, not 2. So now we have a place for that 5th one that was left out in the cold. Make sure you line that up. "40 minutes, guys." Ah, the pressure. So, yep, everything is all done. Going through everything with the bone folder. Finished. All my 5 pages are done. Okay, now we're moving on to the next step, which is covering up those photo mats, and we're grabbing the chipboard and the paper that was cut at 3.5 by 5. I'm adding some more of that wet glue, and I am just going to line them up on top of each other and glue it down. So a lot easier than adding the chipboard to pattern paper and then cutting around it, in my opinion, but do what you want. It's your book. So this goes out pretty fast, and like I said, that glue, art glitter glue, is awesome. I think this is the one it had some extra furry strands on the end. I will go back and clip those in a minute, and you'll see that. So alright, now here's where I'm going to clean up that edge, because I just did not like that craft overhang. It just bugs the heck out of me, even though it was like slivers. So we got our 5 pages, and then I am just going to grab that spine, which is 2 by 7, add some glue to it, and then just pop it on there, just to have that part done. Easy peasy. So now we're going to add our back pages, our flaps that we just folded over and gave a little corner chomp. We're adding them to the back of the page. So flip the page, add the glue, and then put down the page flap. Start at the bottom. If you start at the bottom, line it up evenly, then that will work easier. So it goes by really, really fast. Plus, I love adding these extra layers. I could have just added a pattern paper to it, or and kind of called it a day that way, but I like the sturdiness of adding more layers to it. It takes more time, but the book will hold up. So I'm just going through and adding all of those page flaps and making sure that they lay flat. And now I'm going to add the inside of my page covers, which were the 2 that are cut down 6 by 5. Add that to the front and back. We're at 45 minutes. This is exactly what I was thinking when I was doing it. Like, oh my god, I'm not going to get done. So I'm just trying to decipher, because I didn't separate these 2 when I laid them down, which one goes in the front and which one is for the page flap. The bigger one obviously goes in the front page. So the front of those pages are 4 3/8 by 6. So once I got that squared away, I was good to go. So I am just going to add these to the front of the pages. And remember, on top of these will go those little photo mats that we just matted with the chipboard. So, and I wanted these to be more plain because the photo mats are the floral design, so I didn't want it to clash. So that's why I made these the black and white when I was picking out my papers. So that's done. Now I am going to add the pattern paper to the page flaps. I'm going to take all the page flaps tops, and those are the 4 1/4 by 3 3/4, and I did the little corner chomp of those and set those aside. We're going to work on the bottoms and the tops together. The bottoms are the 4 1/4 by 6, so I'm just laying those down. That's the 4 1/4 by 6. Lay it down, and then I'm going to grab the top 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I'm just doing opposite. I don't want any of the papers to look the same in any of those 3 spots. The front page, that page, and the topper. I don't want any of them to look the same. I want the book to be all intertwined together. So that's why I was just paying attention to that. That's all. So just add those with glue. We're at 49 minutes, and we're almost done. We're gonna make it, guys. I promise. So that's just gonna lay down. All right, now I'm going to take my page inserts, and I'm going to add my flat back pearl, and that's what I'm going to use as my pull tab. And these are the ones that are cut at 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And I'm saying these measurements so you can know what we're doing, since we kind of all cut everything all at the same, and if in case you did not write them down and put like a little post-it on it. So they slide in here super easy, guys, and I just love how smooth they are with the flanges, how they're set up and how the pages are folded over. It just slides right in there with no problem, and you can fit a full 4 by 6 on there. We have 10 minutes left, now 9, and we have to add our photo mats. And this is the 3 1/2 by 5 that we just added the chipboard and pattern paper to. And I am just adding that on there with some hot glue that I have my glue gun off to the side. And again, I'm trying to make it so I don't have any one pattern that's on the same page repeating. So, and I think I did a great job. So that's me testing. I can't use that black one over there, but I can use this one, so I can make sure that I don't have any matchy going on. Love it! Love it, love it, love it! So, we got 8 minutes left, and I went to go and start this darn charm, which I should have waited to the end because I wasted some minutes on this one. But anyway, I'm punching my holes, and I realized that, shoot, I just punched 2. Why did I do that? But I punched my 2 holes with my cropodile. I'm getting my wide eyelets out, and I am putting them in there. You can't see it because I needed to have the book stand up. But I'm putting it in there, but I am thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to attach this together? So I have the black lace, and I'm cutting it in half. There's a couple strings holding them together, so I just cut it in half, and I think that I'm going to try to pull it through and do all that, but later I realized I'll just do that later because it's not part of the mini album, and I really wanted to get the rest of the stuff done. So I was like, I'll come back to that. But I did pull out my flowers and my embellishments and all that, so we can work on that. So yeah, so I'm going to use these flowers. I got these from Audrey, who was so good all. She gifted me this roll of flowers that she got from Michael's. And I'm using a clear acetate word from Country Craft Creations guest design team package that came in the Prima Saint Tropez paper, and I'm using the Sunshine. So I'm adding some of that art glitter glue. I love it because it dries clear, and I just pack it up on the first couple of letters so that can sit on top of that flower. I'm using this heart die cut. It's from Tim Holtz, but this was actually part of a swap, and I got it from Nika, who is Simply Shimmery Scraps, and then also this little die cut came from her as well, and it says hello. So the book says hello sunshine. So it's kind of whimsical, clean and simple, and I love how it turns out. So I'm just deciding what other flowers to put on this book as I'm looking at the clock over there, and I have 56 minutes on it. I'm like, ah! So I want to make sure that I at least get this part done, and then I still have to add some flowers to the pages. So I just figure I add a couple of those flowers from Recollections and with some hot glue, and I just tuck them in there, and I think, okay, that's it. It's cute, it's simple, pink and blue, it matches the paper collection. We have the black, let's move on. I have my base down with some chipboard and my little cup of water, my paintbrush, and my chalk paint concoction, and I'm just going to add some splatters. So I do that by lubricating my brush in the water and then dipping it in my little paint chalk stuff and splattering them on the book. So I do a little dab first off camera so I don't get the big blotch, and then I get the tiny little sprinkles, and then I come back and do the big blotch because I wanted some of the bigger splatters on there, but I wanted them to come after I did the little ones, if you can understand that. So there we go. That's the book, and I'm just going to get my heat gun. I know I have less than 2 minutes left, but I don't want to move this cover and mess with the inside unless it's at least 75% dry. So I literally just take my heat gun, go over some of the bigger spots, and then crack it open. So we got a little bit of time left. I'm going to throw my flowers on the desk and just start to gluing. Literally, I grab 2 of the flowers that I know match the collection, and then I just keep going. Glue, glue, turn. Glue, glue, turn. So I really didn't need any there, but I really wanted to add some. So you can go back and add a sentiment, do some fussy cutting, and I'm like, I got 30 seconds left, and I'm done. I just kind of look around and see if I should add any more flowers or some stickles or anything. I'm like, nope, I'm done. We're finished. Stop the clock. 59 minutes, point 52. Yes, I almost made it to an hour. And then I'm like, I'll do the charm. I'll figure out this charm later. But right now, the book is complete, and I am satisfied even if I don't add the charm. Alright guys, here is the mini album in its completion, and I think it turned out super cute. I finished this mini album in a little bit under an hour. The only thing that I did not finish on camera because I accidentally punched 2 holes in the side binding 2 eyelets. And I know that this is not part of the mini album, it's just an accessory. But I wanted to finish the rest of the pages before I start filling with that. So all I did was tie some lace between the 2 holes and add the charm to it. So I tied 1 string of lace and then tied a knot, and then at the other eyelet and tied a knot, and then I tied them in the bow on the outside and hung the charm. So that's the oh, and then I added the sticker, which is nothing. But yep, I got done with everything, and I'm super excited how it turns out. I love this cover. I'm into the more simplistic clean and simple type covers now. Not shying away from shabby, of course, but I think I love this style, and the splatters just make it everything. So that's what the inside looks like. I didn't do that, as I told you guys before. All I did was make the inserts fit and stop it with this flat back pearl. Added some flowers. Really easy, really cute, and the paper just makes it work. So you can add your photos on there and do what you need to do. This is a pretty paper to work with. Super, super cute. So if you wanted to go back and add like sentiments or something, or pearls or something to this page, you can, but you can put all your photos in here as is, just like now. Alright, so thank you guys so much for watching, and again, in the description box you will find all the links mentioned in this tutorial. And if you do decide to challenge yourself to make one, please hashtag me on Instagram or Facebook. I'd love to see how yours came out and how long it took. Alright, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye!